Welcome to Hobbytown. This is a basic rundown of nub removal for your most common kits of gunpla. So, some simple basic tools: sprue cutters, files, sanding sticks, cutting mat. All helpful things.
Yay.
Some people, they say, start with cutting right up against it. Some people say cut 2 millimeters back like the instructions say. I say so long as you see a little bit of air in between the pieces.
Ooh.
And you actually want to squeeze gently. You don't want to just snap it in, you want to just bring it to where it cuts instead of just breaks.
It's like a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You squeeze, you don't pull.
Precisely.
Actually, that's what I told Tank at the last meeting, because since he was sending runners flying as he was cutting. Love you, Tank.
Well, he was also cutting well into this part.
Yes, he cuts off excess.
So here's where the big, great debate is. Do you then cut
again
here, or do you get yourself your trusty scalpel, hobby knife, whatever you want to call it, drop the piece on the floor, because that is tradition.
That is tradition, actually.
And you just lightly cut. You don't take it and guillotine it. You actually want to use the angle of the blade to your advantage and slice it.
Mm-hmm. Little at a time.
Just little bits at a time. Some people will take the whole nub and then use a rasp or file or sanding stick and just work at it all day long until you get down to it.
The only problem with that is sometimes if you're not paying attention, you end up sanding while you're holding line back. So.
Pretty much.
Been there, done that. And also, if you're using a two-sided file that has a curved side, make sure you pay attention that you're using the flat side when you mean to. I think we've all been there before.
One of my favorite files to use are actually the bent tip files, because they're most commonly they'll have an inside and an outside filing edge.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
And that way you always see exactly where you're filing, and it takes some of the stress off. Because the more you push or squeeze or gouge, that's where you get all these stress marks. That is what they're calling nub marks. It's stress marks from where you're actually removing it.
And of course, that's usually, you can talk about the different types of nippers and the results of stretch marks or nub marks. Yeah. Well, they're actually technically stretch marks in that case.
Nipper 2.0, God hands, things like that, things with really, really fine blades, because there's less mass working on the plastic, and if they're sharp, you can go right up against the edge right off the sprue, and you get a good clean cut.
Yeah. And just to show them off here, let's get a little closer on some of these guys. So we can see the difference, there we go. So you can see it's a very small, super sharp tip there. And actually they kind of come together almost like scissors. And then you've got a more common type here. And you see how they're flat on one side, on the back side, but a little bit bigger. So you can't get into tinier spaces with this, so you need to cut back a little bit further. Whereas these guys will allow you to get right up in there. And these are the Mr. Hobbies?
Yeah, those are
Mr. Tools.
Mr. Tools, like Mr. Hobby, Nipper 2s.
Those are the ones I want, but I haven't been able to get yet.
And we do have a shipment of them coming. We ordered 2 whole cases of them.
Yay.
Because we keep blowing through them in the first day we have them. And once you get your preferred method of nub removed, a couple things you can go through. One, and this is the one I most commonly use and recommend to people here at Hobbytown, is get the tri-grit stick by Squadron MMD. So you've got the dark gray, the white, and then you got the light gray. The light gray you almost never need. You just need that dark gray. So, and that way you blend it into the, and again, light, soft motions. Don't start gouging, don't start squeezing and pushing onto it. That's what actually kills the life of the stick. So it's just light, little.
Like that one, yeah, that's destroyed. Much like most of mine look like. So I tend to buy those 8-sided ones so I can really get some finite stuff, but for basic uses, 3-siders.
And then you go to the semi-polishing, and that one you can go a little faster. And also change your angle, because as you sand, you're creating scratches. So you're going to need to blend those back into the core plastic itself.
And since you're not really trying to remove a lot of material with this side, you know, you can go a little quicker.
Right.
It's just cleaning up the edges that you've already made.
And as you can see, there's the straight cut, and that nub piece is virtually gone.
Let's get it closer to the camera. Well, good. Now I need you to do all of mine.
And for $50 an hour, I will.
And so that's a regular nub, just up close, and that's the one that was removed. Virtually going $50 an hour.
The other thing you could do is if you're in a hurry or you're in a speed build or something like that, especially speed build competitions, there's a way you can quote unquote cheat.
Cheaters.
Right up against the piece. Again, don't ever skimp on the taking it slow and easy. And this one's going to show nubs really well.
Yeah, I was thinking we need to find a foot piece because those are the most notorious for nubs. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good nub right there.
Yep.
So then you take your knife. Again, use a slicing motion because that's going to help you the most. Now balance and level it. Now, you've still got that white stress mark.
I don't like stress marks, John. What do we do about it?
Well, there's a couple ways we could cheat. One, handy dandy gun to marker. So then you take your gun to marker.
I see.
Thankfully, this is a very, very close match.
There'd be a char red there. I don't even see it anymore.
Count to 5 and wipe off the excess.
Here, rinse your finger.
Yep.
You can use a Q-tip if you need to.
Yep, you can.
Or use your finger and then forget it's on your hand and then wipe it on your face later because you weren't paying attention.
Or, you know, it's like you don't even want to bother cleaning it up and just paint the daggum thing.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah, I totally used to do that, honestly, especially in blue parts. Blue parts and red parts are the most notorious. I think even black parts aren't anywhere near as bad as those two colors for showing stress marks. Which,
Especially on older kits like this LO Booster Gundam. It's an older kit. It's going to be sitting on a shelf and in a warehouse for quite some time. The plastic's going to harden. Kotobukiya, notoriously harder plastic.
Yep.
So you're going to be doing a lot of cleanup on that. But if the sanding sticks and the files and the shaving with a knife and Nipper 2.0 or God hands or whatever it is you use, a couple other methods is you can actually use a lighter.
Melt.
I've seen people do that, and they are braver than me.
Melt the nubs.
Melt the nubs, yes. And
I'm
I've
gonna go
also
with
seen
them.
them ruin the kit just as quickly and easily.
I watched a guy do that with his Psycho Zaku the other day for battle damage. But that was like a torch.
Yeah, that was like a torch.
Yeah.
So, but there's a myriad of different ways you can remove nubs. Competition-wise, if you're going to go that route, definitely cut away from the piece. Shave it with a knife. If you need to remove a lot of material, shape it with a file. Because files are nice and hard, you'll maintain a flat edge. And then
Buff it up. Now what about the scraping method that a lot of people use?
now the thumbnail trick, or scraping method, it's also known as. Voila. Let's see, do I have a nub on this side?
You should have a nub, at least 3 nubs.
Nope, I already cleaned that one.
You cleaned it too well. You can't even find your own nubs. He's that good, ladies and gentlemen.
But that's a good thing. Okay, so
Not to find nubs.
thumbnail method, or scraping method. First of all, the reason you use a thumbnail is because it's actually soft enough to do this.
It's essentially the same strength as the plastic that you're working with.
What I've seen a lot of guys do is they take their thumbnail and they rake over it. Now it's actually too much nub to accomplish that. So slice white. You notice how it's starting to disappear as you rub it.
I tend to use this on virtually every kit I do,
Yep.
just for a basic
The
cleanup.
reason that works is because you're actually heating up the plastic.
It's friction.
And that's just how the lighter method works. So we've got
Oh
that.
geez, oh geez. There's fire. You're gonna set out the fire alarm method. Let's set out the fire alarm method.
So, yeah. And as you see, it's, except for the piece that's right there on the curve, it eliminated it.
I'm definitely not going to do that personally.
I don't like doing it because it's real easy to screw it up.
That and molten plastic hurts.
Yeah, and then the parts don't fit, and then it's just nothing but pain from there.
And then you're going to need this.
Dentist mode. Oh, and I will say this. Don't use a Dremel to remove nub marks. Unless it's a perfect grade and the nubs are as big as this file. Then you could use that to wear it down. But